Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years. Well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record? I don't know.
You think exactly how
I don't think so, but yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be.
The latest incident involving basketball stars Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark has sparked a heated discussion among sportsmen by highlighting the difficult dynamics female players negotiate while trying respect and recognition in their area. Four-time WNBA champion and women's basketball pioneer Sheryl Swoopes made news with her divisive remarks on rising college basket player Caitlin Clark. The repercussions highlighted not only the passion of basketball culture, but also the larger difficulties female athletes in competitive settings have. The argument started when Sheryl Swoopes questioned Caitlin Clark's NCAA women's basketball record-setting performance. Speaking on a broadcast, Swoopes said falsely that Clark was in her 5th year of eligibility when she broke the all-time scoring mark. Actually, Clark reached this mark in 4 years, equal to Kelsey Plum's time span, the past record holder. Swoopes claimed that Clark should have broken the record sooner, as this accomplishment was less admirable because of the extra eligibility year allowed during the COVID-19 epidemic. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Swoopes said.
Yeah, and it's not to take anything away from what she's done, but if you're talking about breaking records, then if this player did it in this amount of time, then you should do it in that same amount of time. So that's my thought on that.
But this is not NBA, folks. We're not talking about NBA where you played 10 years and I played 20 years. That's not the same. We can only play 4 years, right? If we there 5 years, goddamn it, we redshirted. Well, we're not allowed to play.
Yeah, and
there's no
so in the COVID year,
COVID year, I get to play and like, oh, COVID happened. I'm gonna come back next year and I'm the same breed.
Here's the other thing.
Like what? Well, you averaged 35 last year. I'm gonna average 35 again.
Because to your point, here's the other thing. So she can come back another year. She has another year where she could come back. She doesn't have to go.
So fueling the argument? Sure not happening. Fans, experts, and players all took offense at this comment, which seemed to minimize Clark's ability and promise. Critics contended that Swoopes' comments not only devalued Clark's hard-earned victory, but also exposed a regrettable pattern of putting female athletes against one another, therefore diminishing their group accomplishments. Fans, especially those in Iowa City, responded vocally and quickly. Fans expressing their displeasure over Swoopes' remarks wore t-shirts bearing "Don't be a Sheryl" at games as a symbolic act of protest. Social media channels turned into hotbeds of criticism, as accusations said Swoopes' remarks reflected jealousy or nervousness about Clark's growing popularity. Swoopes gained an ally in WNBA player Aja Wilson, who backed her on Twitter, questioning the reaction as unjustified and promoting a more nuanced knowledge, even with the outcry.
Someone did take a loss in the basketball world this week, though, and I love her, but she's wrong here. Sheryl Swoopes, former WNBA player, we all know that, current host of Queen of the Court podcast. She had some thoughts. She's had some thoughts previously about Caitlin. She would later have to apologize of those thoughts being uninformed, she shoots like 60 shots a game, just being a little bit inflammatory and critical without any actual analysis. And she apologized for that during the women's college season, and she's now stepped in it again by saying that Indiana is in the playoffs right now without Caitlin Clark. By saying that Katie Lou Samuelson's really more integral in terms of her two-way ability than Caitlin, and also saying that, and I don't besmirch her for this, because lots of people are making arguments for whether they think that it is Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark that should be Rookie of the Year. I've said that I think it's Caitlin, but that I could understand someone making an argument for the other. It's not hate to make an argument for Angel Reese. So I don't take any issue with that part. But the other part, it just feels like there is something there, and I'm not really sure what is not connecting with Sheryl and why. And I don't know if some of that is driven in sort of the hurt that she felt from the fan base or some of the attacks that were leveled at her after she had those comments a few months ago. But this feels really, really, really off par. This just doesn't feel right at all. And it is starting to feel a little bit like hate from Sheryl, who just in this particular space, stop. If the Fever, who won a handful of games last year, are in the playoffs this year, then you have to understand that a large part of that is Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Either one of them. I would have accepted either one of those.
Originally supporting her remarks, Swoops stressed that she was only expressing her viewpoint and had no intention of hurting Clark, but as the debate grew, she came clean about her mistake, that of misleading Clark's eligibility information. Swoops contacted another well-known basketball player, Angel Reese, to help Clark understand her comments and show her gratitude for her accomplishments. A pivotal moment in trying to heal the divide was Swoops' admission. "I made a mistake saying it was your 5th year when it is your 4th. It underlined the need of communication and understanding in the resolution of problems, particularly in a society in which mutual respect and support are prerequisites. Caitlin Clark, meantime, kept a professional attitude all through the debate. Instead of starting a public conflict, Clark decided to highlight her performance and the favorable features of her profession, therefore projecting maturity and grace. The way the Iowa star let her successes speak for itself showed great professionalism and integrity. In response to Swoop's comments, Clark silently kept improving on the court, therefore reinforcing her status as a respected person and role model for young sportsmen. Her attention on the game highlighted her dedication to basketball and showed how discipline and personal integrity may combat negativity.
She's just got a bounce. Here's Clark back to Boston. Back inside. Oh, good ball movement. And it's Boston. Here is Clark off the screen, launches, and drops a triple. Really physically demanding.
No, it is extremely difficult. Just one, not only physically, but also mentally staying in it.
Team USA earning her first. You can imagine she'll likely be part of future teams, probably with the player she's guarding right now, Caitlin Clark, who finds Nalissa. A 20-year veteran, Diana Taurasi, dialing back. With the 4th fastest pace of play, and that suits Caitlin Clark.
Have to be able to pay attention to her, really get out in transition, see if you can get some early quick buckets.
Oh, Clark hits
as well to shoot and be in your game.
Indiana comes up with a turnover. Here is Clark. This time it's Smith with a foul. Here's Mitchell, behind the defense.
Caitlin Clark has an impact beyond her exchanges with Swoops, dubbed the Caitlin Clark effect. Her explosive playing style and ability to attract fans to games in women's basketball, this phenomena has greatly increased attendance and viewing. According to reports, WNBA viewership has surged. Clark's game attracted almost 1.484 million viewers instead of the usual figures of around 424,000. This rise emphasizes the vital contribution new talent makes to raise the general profile of women's basketball.
All right, Caitlin, your first WNBA game, was it everything you expected it to be? I know it wasn't the outcome you wanted, but tell us how did you feel about your first performance?
Yeah, I thought we played really hard. Just a great atmosphere for women's basketball. I think it's a good kickoff to the WNBA season. I think the way we played, there's some things we could have executed a little better. I thought we could have got into our offense a little bit better. The pace was amazing. That's fun basketball. People like to watch, but overall, definitely what I expected.
Yeah, so what do you take away from this game? Besides the fact that you guys didn't walk out of here with a W, what do you take away from this game that you want to improve on moving forward?
I think just the little things. I think knowing when to push in transition and knowing when to slow up and run our offense a little bit better. I think overall our defense was pretty good. I thought we could have gotten better in some areas. I thought we could have passed the ball a little bit better, but overall, a lot to learn from. These are good learning experiences for us. This doesn't count. Go back and watch the film. Film doesn't lie, and learn from that.
All right, thanks. Good luck the rest of the season.
Furthermore, Clark's arrival into the WNBA has had an amazing effect on attendance figures and viewership of the league. Her choice as Indiana Fever's first overall draft pick turned her into a focal point for supporters, which helped the league record-breaking numbers. The WNBA revealed in May 2023 over 400,000 attendees at games, with more than half of them being sellouts. This phenomena is mostly related to the excitement around Clark and other rookies, indicating fresh passion in the sport.
Say it, please. All right, so I set the record in 5 games, right?
Yeah.
Because back then, we had a first round bye. So we didn't get to play, I didn't get that 6 games. So I set the record in 5 games.
Yeah.
So to me, yes, she broke the record, but she did it in 6 games.
It took her extra game.
Well, I'm just saying.
You can say that.
No, listen, if I have 6 games,
the record's different.
well, I'm gonna have another 30 to the 177,
You were
Jordan.
averaging, what was it? 34?
30, yeah.
34.
30 something. 30 something. How about that?
Caitlin Clark, we were talking about her having 41 points in a game. You had 47 in one game.
In the championship game.
In the championship
Here's
game.
what I'll say. Like, I mean, we're having a good time. We're having fun. But I don't really care what the record is, who has the record. Anybody that can put up back-to-back 40-point games, like, that's a baller.
Notwithstanding the debate, Clark's public profile and appeal have only been more robust. Though divisive, Sheryl Swoop's remarks have not tarnished Clark's reputation in the basketball scene. If anything, the degree of the criticism directed towards Swoops highlights Clark's popularity as a cherished athlete and an upcoming star in the game. Her ability to shine within controversy has only added to her popularity and highlighted the rising respect for women's basketball all around. As a middleman between the two athletes, Angel Reese also significantly helped to resolve the Swoops-Clark dispute. Given her reputation and past experiences with Clark, Reese's participation was very crucial. Reese's strong competitiveness is well known, hence her involvement in helping Swoops and Clark to communicate, which shows the ability of female athletes to support and mediate for one another even in demanding conditions. This debate draws attention to more general problems with the way sports conversations view and treat female athletes.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
Well, y'all don't get to. They don't get to stand on the number one.
I said she might, but I'm
number one pick. This is my team. They don't get to do that over there, huh?
Although male athletes usually get accolades and celebration for their successes, female athletes usually confront more criticism and doubt. The discrepancy highlights an underlying need for a cultural change in how women's sports are seen and addressed, so that female athletes just get recognition for their achievements and are not unnecessarily set against each other.
The NBA, who's your MVP and who's your Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark, and MVP, I would say Ionescu.
Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark getting Rookie, Angel Reese getting MVP.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Year for sure. Just because of all, I don't think she's doing bad. She's doing good so far, and she's definitely going to keep getting better, so, yeah.
I'm gonna go with Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
Rookie, I'm gonna say probably Caitlin Clark right now.
Okay.
She's cooking, or Camila Cordosa. And then MVP, Asia Wilson. I like her. Oh, it's definitely gonna be Caitlin Clark.
What about you?
Probably the same, yeah.
I'd say the same as well.
I got Caitlin Clark, MVP.
The conversation started by the Swoops-Clark incident also highlighted the increasing voice of supporters and their readiness to stand up for players against allegedly unfair treatment. With their loud and expressive support, Caitlin Clark fans represent a fresh, more involved audience for women's basketball. They represent a community ready to confront stories that minimize women's accomplishments in athletics and eager to appreciate growing potential. Moreover, Sheryl Swoop's final choice to apologize for her false remarks regarding Caitlin Clark's eligibility was a significant turning point. Swoop gives a strong model of responsibility and maturity by owning her error and having an honest conversation with Clark. This promoted the basketball community's potential for healing and expansion via meaningful dialogues, therefore diffusing conflict.
I think Angel will eventually be a good pro. I don't think Angel will come into the league immediately and dominate the way people think she will. And I say that for people who have never watched a WNBA game. It's good. Like, there's talent. Like, these women can play. And because there are very few roster spots. Like, it's a real job. So people look at new players coming in, whether that's out of college, players who've been overseas, and they look at that and say, oh, you trying to come take my job. Like, nah, it's not gonna be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not.
The debate and its outcome testifies to the need of creating a conducive climate inside women's basketball, accepting teamwork and honoring diverse success stories. As the sport expands, will help motivate the next generation of players. Leaders and players in the sport have to support not just their own successes, but also the general welfare and exposure of women's basketball as a whole. Due in part to new players like Clark, the WNBA and women's basketball's growing popularity calls on the community to foster positive athlete engagement and mutual respect. This will help to establish the profile of the sport and guarantee appropriate appreciation of the efforts made by female athletes. Seeing women's basketball through a prism of togetherness and empowerment helps one understand its ongoing expansion and appeal. Returning to Caitlin Clark's outstanding effect, her games have become vital viewing events that capture viewers and increase item sales, therefore proving her great impact on the commercial success of the WNBA. Her influence captures the great potential young athletes have to change the scene of their sport, in terms of marketability and cultural importance as well. The knowledge gained from the Swoops-Clark debate is more general and emphasizes the critical requirement of honest communication, openness, and responsibility in athletics. Those engaged in women's basketball should use obstacles as chances for personal development and community strengthening by keeping polite communication and resolving differences constructively. In the end, even although Sheryl Swoops and Caitlin Clark's differences first divided opinion, they eventually encouraged significant conversations about the nature of female athletes' relationships and public view of women's sports. Key leaders' unity and determination show an energized movement towards guaranteeing women's sports get the respect and support they deserve. As more players like Caitlin Clark not only grab interest, but also help to shape a great future for women's basketball, which will forward the sport, the whole basketball community, players, coaches, supporters, and analysts must cooperate going ahead to maintain this increase and honor the shared successes of all athletes.